in 1 minute.
Mhm.
Give me a second. Okay, perfect. Okay, welcome everyone. It's another evening of the Ask, Learn, and Do series, and we are so happy to have with us. We're talking to RCSI today, University of Medicine and Health Sciences, and it's going to be very interesting because it's not just one program that we're talking about. We're talking about the whole gamut of sort of undergraduate programs that they offer to international students. So, very happy to introduce to you Elizabeth Healy, who is the head of student recruitment at RCSI. Hi, Liz.
Hi everybody. Hi Nam.
And we have Aditi, who's country manager for India at RCSI.
Hello.
And we also have Vedika Khurana, who is a second year student of medicine currently studying at RCSI.
Hi.
Hi, hi. It's always such a pleasure having a student do one of these because we get to, really get their perspective and share that with, all of you. So let's, dive right in. And Liz, maybe you could, sort of tell us a little bit about, about RCSI, I think, to start off with, and
Yeah.
also what are the programs being offered.
Okay. So RCSI Royal College of Ireland is University of Medicine and Sciences. So we're the only university in Ireland that is a specialist health science university. So at undergraduate level, we offer medicine, pharmacy, physiotherapy, advanced therapeutic technologies, and dentistry. So we're the largest medical school in Ireland. We're very international as well. So we're unique in the sense that over 60% of our seats on the medicine program are available to non-European students, and we would have 300 seats on the medicine program every year. So we're launching a brand new dentistry program as well in September 2025. So it's all about healthcare at RCSI. Yeah.
Wonderful. And maybe you could also, tell us a little more on just what it is. I mean, the campuses at RCSI, a bit of an overall picture of the
Yeah.
university.
Okay, perfect. So look, RCSI it's based in Dublin, which is the capital city of the Republic of Ireland. We're based in the city centre in Stephen's Green. It's a fantastic location in Dublin city centre. Dublin is a great place to live. It's obviously a capital city. It's a European capital city. Ireland is the only country left in the European Union where English is the first language. So it's a smaller university because of the fact that we just specialise in health sciences universities or health science courses. So we've just under 4,000 students in total on campus. So in terms of the university itself, the facilities would be we'd be really well renowned for our facilities. So we've spent over 200 million euros on state of the art buildings and teaching facilities over the last 8-9 years in particular. We have the most advanced clinical and surgical training centre in Europe here on Stephen's Green in 26 York Street. We also we're just about to open a brand new building on Stephen's Green, which is the Connect building, which cost another 95 million euros, and that's opening in 2025. And that's going to create a lot more teaching space, but also a lot more research space. And it's not just our researchers that will be able to avail of the research facilities here in RCSI. Our undergrad students also have lots of fantastic opportunities to get involved in research here at RCSI. So we do a research summer school where students can spend 8 weeks every summer working with a research team, either here in RCSI in one of affiliated hospitals, or even to apply to do research electives overseas. And yeah, so I suppose Dublin is a fantastic place to live and to study. And I'm sure Vidika will talk a little bit more about what her experience has been like in Dublin. The facilities here are absolutely fantastic. The programs are all internationally recognized degrees. We have over 30,000 graduates located in nearly 100 countries around the world. So if you're looking for a really high class education, internationally recognized degree, RCSI would be a fantastic place to consider studying. We also have, on-campus accommodation, over 80 clubs and societies, fantastic student supports. So it's all there, and a really international student community. So students come from all over the world to study at RCSI, and typically we would have 60 to 70 different nationalities particularly in our medicine program.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think that just gives a very nice picture of everything that you can expect at our CSI. I've also visited the campus. It is lovely. It's so well located, and the sort of facilities that you offer are really, really wonderful. So maybe we can check with Vedika. And Vedika, so I know you're from Punjab. How did you find yourself applying to RCSI, and what are you currently studying?
So I'm currently in my second year in direct entry medicine course. And how I found out about RCSI, I was actually looking through a lot of universities, and my counselor has actually told me about this university. And then I dug into it, I looked up the website, and I was completely left in awe for it because it had everything I wanted in a university. And the things that specifically fascinated me were the hands-on experience and the early clinical exposure that we have. Plus, my favorite part personally was that I was the most excited for was the cadaveric dissections for learning anatomy, which is a very good experience. Like it's a really helpful experience in learning, as well as like it's a very humbling thing to do. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wonderful. And could you tell us about, I know you've covered how, academically it has been rewarding to select RCSI. How is your, just international student experience been so far?
So far, my international student experience has been wonderful because RCSI has such a diverse student community. Like, you get to meet people from all over the world, and it's such a good exposure. Plus, Dublin is a really nice and warm place. Like, I never actually felt away from home. It's so warm. Like, the people are so nice and kind. They'll help you whatever you need. So the settling in part was really nice and really easy because the city is so good. And rest, I think, like considering the academic and the personal life balance, that is also really well maintained in RCSI because we have events organized by societies and clubs almost every week. Like every week we have, I think, at least 3 or 4 events going on. So it's a really good balance. Like you can just participate in anything you want. It's so much fun. So you never, it's a perfect conglomeration of like study and fun. So that
Oh,
is like about RCSI.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Vedika. Liz, maybe you could tell us a little bit. So we know that Vedika is doing entry level medicine. So that's
Yeah.
a 4-year degree. So could you tell us about, I know you mentioned the different programs, but a little more details. What sort of qualifications are you generally looking out for?
Yeah.
The length of these programs, any internship?
Yes, okay, perfect. So for the medicine program, you graduate at the end of the medical degree with an MBBCHBAO, which is a Bachelor in Medicine, Bachelor in Surgery, and a Bachelor in the Art of Obstetrics. So that would be the equivalent of an MBBS. So that's what it is called in Ireland. Okay, so you've a full medical degree, internationally recognized medical degree at the end of the program. The program is typically 5 or 6 years long for direct entry. So if you're coming in with school leaving qualifications such as A level, IB, CBSC, it's 5 or 6 years. And the difference is usually, again, it depends on what you're doing, but let's just say if a student is doing CBSE, you would need to be achieving a minimum overall average score of 90% across your 5 subjects, and a minimum of 75% in chemistry, biology, and either physics or maths. Whereas for the 6-year track, which is an additional year at the start, which is the foundation year, you have to at least be getting a minimum average of 80%. So if you are gearing for 90% or higher, you could get a 5-year place rather than a 6-year. You just apply for medicine, and then the admissions committee will decide based on your predicted grades or your actual grades, if you have them, whether you'll get a 5 or 6-year offer. For dentistry, it's a 5-year program. Okay, so you have to do the full 5 years, and you graduate with a full Bachelor of Dental Surgery at the end, and again, fully qualified dentist at the end of the 5 years. For pharmacy, it's a 5-year program. You graduate with a Bachelor and a Master's, and you are a fully qualified pharmacist at the end of the program. So all your clinical placements, all your internships are integrated into the program. And for physiotherapy, it's 4 years. You graduate with a bachelor degree, a BSc, and you're a fully qualified physiotherapist at the end of that program. And for advanced therapeutic technologies, that's our science degree. It's a 4-year program. You do an 8-month industry placement in year 3, and you graduate with your full honours science degree at the end. So all the other programs, medicine, pharmacy, physiotherapy, and dentistry, they are professional qualifications where when you graduate, you are really aiming for a professional qualification. With physiotherapy, pharmacy, and dentistry, you're fully qualified at the end of the program. With medicine, you have your medical degree, but you need to complete an internship year afterwards to be fully registered with the Irish Medical Council. So typically for medicine, non-EU students will either apply to the Irish health system for a 1-year internship program, to the UK for the 2-year internship program, or some students will apply to the US for residency, and some students will apply to do their internship back home. So it really just depends. But we've had some students will apply to a number of those options. But we have a fantastic careers department here in RCSI that supports students with all of that as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Liz. I know that's a lot to cover in a short span of time, but you've given us a great gist. And the thing is to get the conversation started, and we'll also put in some links to all the programs that you're talking about and about RCSI following this live, so that everyone can check that out. Maybe we can now perhaps move on and ask Aditi to tell us some of the important financial aspects. So if you could tell us a little bit about what are the tuition fees that students would be expected to pay for these different programs, and also the application process.
Yes. So the application process is quite simple and straightforward. It's directly through the RCSI website. They open each year on the 1st of November. For medicine and dentistry, there is a hard deadline, which is the 15th of Jan. For the other programs, we still do accept applications on a rolling basis after that, but obviously the sooner you apply, the better. So this is kind of the prime time that you're looking at if you want to apply to RCSI, especially for medicine and dentistry. You just need your transcripts to start with. So, your previous grade 10th and 11th transcripts that you have, you need to write an SOP. It's a 2-page SOP describing why you want to do medicine, why you want to do it at RCSI, and then also just nominate an academic referee. So, and then obviously add in your documents, your passport, and all the other details. But yeah, it's a simple, straightforward process directly through our website. Once you put in an application, we review all the documents we've received, and then we shortlist students for an interview. So the interview typically happens usually between Feb to April. So it's an online interview through Zoom. It's not an academic interview. It's more so to get to know the student behind the application. So yeah, and once you're through the interview, you pretty soon will find out if you've been offered a place at the university or not. In terms of the tuition fee for medicine, we're talking about 60,000 euros per annum, roughly, and then times that by 5 or 6, depending on the track that you opt for. Dentistry is 61,000 euros per annum. And then pharmacy, physiotherapy, and ATT are about 25,000 euros. But RCSI is offering a scholarship to all international students of about 7,000 euros. So the students will only be paying 18,000 euros per year. So it's a significant amount of scholarship that they're getting. There are also additional scholarships for pharmacy and ATT students. They have the chance to get another additional 1,500 euro scholarship in their year one. So that again brings it down to 16,500 euros. So those are the rough tuition fees that we're talking about. But again, we'll share the details at the end, and they can, obviously reach out to any of us if they need more information.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Aditi. So, at this point, I just want to encourage everyone, if you have questions, this is the best time to sort of just put it down there in the comment box, and I'll be very happy to ask Liz or Aditi or even Vedika any questions that you may have about the UG programs offered at RCSI. Liz, I'll come back to you. I know you mentioned, there's a career services center. And so, I mean, there's a range of support services available for students, especially international students at RCSI. So, could you maybe elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, perfect. So we have a number of departments here in RCSI that are really supportive resources for our students. The main one would be what we call the Compass Office, which is the Centre for Mastery of Personal, Professional and Academic Success. So under this department, you have the Careers Support Department. You have also the department that looks after student welfare and well-being. So we have a team of social workers who provide a lot of mental health supports and just general advice and assistance. We obviously also have counselling services, and we have access to, if students need additional counselling support. So that's, we also have a free day-to-day medical care centre here in RCSI, just around the corner from the main campus, right beside the on-campus accommodation called Mercer Medical Centre. So all registered students at RCSI have free day-to-day medical nurse and GP care at Mercer Medical Centre. We also have academic supports that we offer our students through the Compass office. So that would be really if students need, whether it's one-to-one tutoring or exam strategies, or if a student has a disability, or let's say had an injury and just needs more support in terms of getting accommodations, getting in and class or doing exams and things like that. So we have the full range of supports: access and disability, career supports and welfare supports. And obviously, because so many of our students here at RCSI are international students, they're far away from home, far away from their support networks of friends and family and what they're used to. It's really vital that we have a strong support system here in RCSI, that students feel that it's very easy for them to turn to staff that we have here to provide the support that they need. The Student Services Department as well is also a fantastic team in terms of they look after everything from accommodation to visas to clubs and societies and events. But a lot of the students will drop in and they know the staff really well, and they're almost like a second family to students as well. We have the Students' Union. So I think that there's lots of supports there for us, and I think that the students really value the fact that we have lots of accommodation available for them. We have our on-campus accommodation, which has 109 ensuite rooms here in Mercer and Millen, which is a 2-minute walk from campus. But we've also loads of other slightly off-campus accommodation options for students. So everybody gets housed. The most important thing I would say to students, if you apply to RCSI, is make sure that you, if you're going to accept your offer, that the next stage is you get in touch with us about booking your accommodation, and we'll look after you really, really well.
Great, great. Thank you, Liz. I have a quick question for Vedika. So, you have, of course, 2 more years ahead of you. What are you sort of looking towards doing after your degree?
Okay, actually, I would just like to correct. It's a 5-year course in total, so I have 2.5 more years to go.
Right, 2.5, yeah.
And so uh, after my graduation, I am kind of on the edge of deciding. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really sure about what I want to do, but yeah, we have a lot of options, as Liz already mentioned. I can do an internship in Ireland or UK, or I can give USMLEs and do my residency in US.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, I'm just sort of in that stage where I'm exploring these options in more detail and see what suits me the best. So
Yeah.
I can't say anything for sure.
Okay, and it's a good place to be in right now because you're halfway through your sort of program, and you get to sort of try out different things also, which you would be doing every semester. So, and maybe if you could tell us, Vedika, what would a typical day as an RCSI student be for you? Like,
Well, it really depends what, because some days we have like some days are really packed with lectures and it can get pretty stressful. But some days are really chill. Like we just have a case-based learning sessions, or like we'll just like some days are just given for us to like study and review the content that we were taught. Wednesday afternoons mostly we have a free for our extracurricular activities, which is something that I really um, and a typical day, I'd say it's like an average day would be like, I think our university starts at 9 and we get lunch break, and then it ends on an average day, it ends at around 1, I'd say. And then sort of like go back, or like Dublin has a lot of cool places to be to, like it has cafes, and my favorite spot personally is the Stephen's Green Park. So I
yeah,
just like grab a cup of coffee or hot chocolate and I'll just take a stroll in the
lovely.
park. Yeah, and then we just come. I just sort of like to come back and study in the library, or I study in my room and like
Mhm.
review the content that was taught. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. I think that, I mean, it shows that there's a great balance that you can achieve, and it's not so intense, but you have your study time, you have time to unwind, and you have time to catch up and, sort of review your studies. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Vedika. We do have some questions coming up. Aditi, maybe you could tell us what is the scholarship criteria?
Yes. So the scholarship for which program? So for pharmacy, physiotherapy, and ATT, the
Mhm.
scholarships are for all privately funded students.
Right.
So all international students would get that, including the 1,500 additional scholarship.
Uh-huh.
For medicine, there is a separate scholarship. I think Liz can tell more about that, but it's a 25,000 euro scholarship over the 5 years. So it's a
Right.
25,000 euro in total. But
Mm-hmm.
the scholarships, in there's a separate interview that happens for the scholarship that typically takes place, I think, Liz, in July, if I'm not wrong.
So it's called the International Consilia Manuque Scholarship. Students apply through the website. So if you go into the scholarship section on the website, you'll see all the different scholarships available, and it's the International Consilia Manuque that you need to apply for medicine. So we would have a small number of those available each year. So you can apply, every student who accepts their offer in medicine can apply. You fill out the application. You have to get the application form by the 1st of July. And then after registration, they shortlist for interview. So they will shortlist maybe to 6 or 7 people for scholarships. Okay. So if you're invited to interview, you're already halfway there in terms of being able to secure a scholarship. So the interviews take place normally in October. And as Aditi mentioned, they're worth 25,000. You get like 25,000 euros divided by the number of years on the medicine program. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much, Liz. There's also, I mean, this may be a bit repetitive, but a question on the requirements for an undergraduate medical degree
Yeah,
course.
so I can tell you about that.
Yes,
Depends which board they're coming
yeah,
from.
sure.
For
And that's
CBSE,
maybe, Aditi, that's a great thing. You can talk about the different boards and what
yeah,
you accept or not as well.
yeah, so we accept students from A levels, IB, and then CBSE and ICSE programs. So for medicine, CBSE typically, like Liz mentioned earlier, we're looking at 90% and above for the 5 year program and 80% and above for the 6 year program. And then they obviously need to have their sciences or lab sciences, and no less than 75 in those individual science subjects. For if I talk about IB, if it's an IB student, again, for both tracks, they typically need minimum 36 total IB points to qualify for medicine, but
Mhm.
the 5 year students average around a bit higher than that. Usually, I would say around 39. And again, they need chemistry at HL and then another lab science at HL and no less than five in those individual subjects.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. Um, and maybe, Liz, if you could tell us a little bit on the sort of classrooms, the size of classrooms that students can expect at RCSI?
Yeah, so look, as I mentioned, I kind of touched on it just with the facilities. So there are fantastic facilities here at RCSI. A part of that is, is focused obviously on the clinical training side, but also we have, like, for example, in 26 York Street, which is a 10-story building that we opened in 2017, that houses 3 floors of the clinical simulation facility. So that's where students get to do their clinical training. And it's relevant mostly to the medicine students, but also physiotherapy students and pharmacy students would use those facilities for some of their modules, and particularly like physio. So we have a number of tutorial rooms on each floor in 26 York Street as well. So real state-of-the-art, very modern rooms as well. Clinical task training room is a facility that the medicine students will use. So I suppose really just in terms of, even with Vidika describing her typical day, usually the way it works is in first year of the med program, your kind of introduction to your first patient is cadaver dissection in anatomy. You start to build up your clinical skills through the task training room, where you become, I suppose, familiar. You're in a safe, protected environment. So you're to take blood, suture wounds, do various clinical tasks, with not with real patients. So it's with mannequins. And then you're in the hospital facilities, you're dealing with high fidelity clinical simulators. So these are birthing mannequins, you've got sim man, you've got sim babies, and that's really just, again, allowing you to do more complex clinical procedures, but again in a safe environment, because you're not dealing with real patients yet. And you also will be working with medical actors and volunteers in the public, really developing those critical skills in terms of your communication skills, patient skills, and things like that. And then the last 2.5 years of the program for medicine, you're based in the hospitals and you're rotating through different specialties, 6 weeks in obstetrics and gynecology, 6 weeks in pediatrics, and so on, so that by the time you finish your degree, you're ready then to work as a junior doctor in the hospital, essentially as an intern. Pharmacy, it's very hard to answer that question really quickly, but I guess pharmacy has their own building as well, with state-of-the-art laboratories and pharmacy dispensaries and their own classrooms and lecture theatres. Physiotherapy have their own movement labs and facilities here in 123 Stephen's Green. Advanced therapeutics have their own state-of-the-art science labs as well. And dentistry are going to have brand new facilities. I mean, probably the most advanced facilities of any of the dental schools, which we're building at the moment and opening next year. So what I would say to students is, if you're interested, go on the website. There's going to be loads of information about the facilities here at RCSI.
Great. And how many students do you usually have per class?
Well, there's a big focus on small group teaching. So
Yeah.
obviously in the early years of the program, like medicine is the biggest program, right? There's
Right.
300 take every year. So there
Right.
are going to be certain modules, I would say, where you're in a lecture theatre, and then but as Vidika had mentioned, case-based learning. So that's kind of, you're split into smaller groups and you're working on specific patient case studies, and certainly I think by the time you go into the more clinical task training, you're broken up into smaller groups again. But Vidika might be better placed just to answer that really briefly, just in terms of when does it get smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the first year, we had a lot of large group teachings compared to the second year. In the second year, the focus is more on the smaller group teachings. Like, we have our learning communities. We have, I think, 5 or 6
Yeah.
learning communities, and then we have sub communities in those learning communities. So for example, case-based learning sessions, we go to a separate building and be like on a table, and on a table there are like 12 people from your community, and you discuss a case with them. It's a very safe space, like, for people who are very reserved and introverted and can't really interact openly. So it's a really safe space for them to sort of open up and talk about what they feel about the patient and professionalism and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And plus, we have many small group tutorials for certain subjects that can be rendered difficult by some students, like pathology or microbiology. So we have specific tutorials for them. Each community would have them. And that's not for 12 people. That's for like the whole community and not in the sub community. But yeah, that's something that really helps. Sort of it's sort of like aids in learning the concepts in more detail.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. Thank you. And we do have one last question. I know we are just out of time, but there is a follow-up question, Aditi.
Mhm.
Uh, Someone has asked, oh, there are two follow-up questions. So um, this is a student of ICSE. If I don't have a 90% overall in sciences, can I go get in through UCAT?
So we don't require a UCAT exam. We are just looking at their school grades. So they will, for medicine, like I said, they if they don't have the 90%, they can still apply and possibly try for the 6 year with 80% and above. And again, we have other health science courses that they could look at as options. So they can try for pharmacy, physiotherapy, or ATT. The entry requirements are just a bit lower for those programs.
Okay, great. And I think you can just reiterate once more because Suraj also has a question. Do medicine courses require any medical entrance test for an admission?
Yes, no, that's a good question. I think we forgot to mention, but no entrance tests are required, no UCAT, HPAT, NEET, or any of those exams are
Yeah.
needed as part of your application. You just need your school grades essentially to begin your application.
Which is great. I mean, I think because generally most countries do ask for it, and here it's great. I know there's it's intense also because you do have an interview process and all, which is, I think, a way better way of sort of you know streamlining students. But thanks, Aditi. So maybe last few words from everyone. Just a quick USP about RCSI?
What I would probably say, there's so much information on the website. Please do visit the website if you're interested in hearing about, the latest updates in RCSI on our programs or additional webinars we're going to be running. Then maybe sign up to our mailing list on the website as well, because we can send you an email and keep you in the loop about that. We've just finished a suite of webinars that we did on all the courses, and they're available on the events and webinars section of the website. So if you go onto the website, undergraduate events and webinars, you'll see all the recordings of the webinars that we ran in November. So the time may not have suited that for students in India and certain parts of the world. So, but you can watch those back and get in touch, by email, admissions@rcsi.ie, or get in touch with Aditi. Aditi, if you want to share your email address
Yes.
with.
Yes, so thanks, Liz. So, in addition to the webinars that have already happened, we are also running some India specific webinars in December. So, students
Great.
are also welcome to join that. And we are very approachable. So, if you need any more information, just send me an email. My email ID is just indiaqueries@rcsi.com. So, I'd be very happy to get on a call and talk you through the programs. And again, do go to our websites. We have an Instagram page, YouTube. There's a lot of videos and a lot of resources available.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well,
There are, sorry.
sorry, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just last piece of advice for all the
Please.
aspiring. Like it's actually based on my own experience. I just like to say that don't hesitate to ask. Be open to new experiences if you're aspiring to come to our CSI, and if especially you're attending all those webinars. Just don't hesitate to ask any of the problems. No questions are stupid, and people are very they'll answer everything you ask, anything you want. It's because it was like I was a very reserved kind of a person, so I didn't really ask a lot, and I thought that that was not a very good thing for me. But when I came here, I realized that many things can be answered if you ask them. So yeah, do that.
Thank you so much, Vedika. And it's really, I mean, we really appreciate that you've come in and you're sharing your story and you are inspiring others as well. I think Ireland is a wonderful place to come and study. I speak again from experience. And, you can see how Vedika has evolved and, I think you'll be lucky if you come to Ireland and to RCSI to, study. So thank you so much, Vedika. Good luck for everything. I'm sure you'll do wonderfully and find what you're looking to do. And thank you both, Aditi and Liz. I think, as I said, we can talk for a very, very long time about everything that RCSI has to offer. But we had to keep this a bit brief. I'm sure we can do a follow up at some point. But there are a lot of follow up questions also coming up. I can see them popping up on Instagram. So I will put in your email, Aditi, following this chat. And, very welcome to, as Aditi and Liza said, they are very, very approachable. So please do reach out and find out what, the perfect match for you at RCSI.
Yeah, or come to our webinar next week. The medicine and dentistry webinar is next Wednesday, and then the pharmacy, physio, and HT webinar is the following Wednesday. And Aditi can share those details with you if you email her, but it's on the website as well.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And we'd be very happy to share that on our, social media as well. So we'll do that for you next week. Thank you again,
Thank you.
everyone, for spending your day and your evening with us. And take care, everyone. Until next time.
Bye.
Thank
See you
Bye
you.
soon.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.